Hi everybody, it's Doreen, and I'm back today with a birthday card that I made for my husband's niece. So come on and join me, and I'm going to show you how I made this card. Okay everybody, so I'm going to go ahead and bring up the supplies so we can get started making the card. So this time what I've done is I've actually cut my card using my Cricut. And I got this card from the Ashley's Alphabet. The handbook looks like this. Sorry for the glare. And this is from page 67. And it's this card right here. So what you would do is, if you're using your Cricut, you're going to go ahead and hit the cursive button, which is right here. And then you'll hit the actual card button, which is key number 40. And it looks like this. And then you'll cut that out. So I've gone ahead and I've cut that out at 9 inches by 6 inches. So I can make it a 4.5 by 6 inch card. The other thing that I've gone ahead and done is I've gone ahead and inked my edges. And I've used the Stampin' Up! Pink Passion. So now what I want to go ahead and do is start adding on my layers. Now for the scallop layer, I've gone ahead and once again I've used my Cri-Kits pens, which look like this. And I'll take one out so you can see what it looks like. They look like this and they fit. Get those out. So what you do is you just go ahead and you stick the pen down inside here and it automatically grasps it. And I'll put a link to the video that I did demoing how to use the Cri-Kits pens. And I'll also put a link to the website where I purchased them. So now let me go ahead and show you what I've done with the Cricut pen. So now I've taken a piece of cardstock, and this cardstock measures 1 7/8 by 6 inches. And what I did was I went ahead and I said typed out, but that's not right. I'm not typing. I wrote out or spelled out happy birthday. And I also went ahead once again and I used the, let me make that a little bit bigger. I used the Ashley Alphabets cartridge to spell out happy birthday. And the size of my letters are 0.75 or 3/4 of an inch. And I kind of squeezed them together so that I could get them to fit within this size square. So what I basically did was I went ahead and created a 1 7/8 inch by 6 inch rectangle using the George and Basic Shapes cartridge. And I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like on my Gypsy. So I created this small square right here. And I squeezed in the happy birthday. Oh, sorry about that. I squeezed in the happy birthday until I got to fit and line up where I wanted it to line up. And then I used my Cricut pens. Rather than actually cutting, the Cricut pens just draw out what your image is. And it ended up coming out like this. And then I took it and ran it through using my Quick Cuts embossing folder. And this one is the medium dots, so that I could get some circles on there to go along with the paper. So the other thing I've done is I went ahead and I've inked the edges once again using the Stampin' Up! Pink Passion. So I want to go ahead and lay this down on my card, and I want to put it about right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and line this up so I can look at where I want it. But actually, before I actually go ahead and lay it down, I want to go ahead and add my little loops layer which I created using the Optic Dots punch by Martha Stewart. And this piece of cardstock measures 6 inches, and I cut it down to 3/4 of an inch. So I would say to go ahead and cut out a piece of cardstock, maybe about an inch. Go ahead, punch out your Optic Dots, and then cut it down to 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to have that laying on top. So what I want to go ahead and do is actually, before I lay this onto the card, I'm going to go ahead and tape this layer on top of this one. And I'm going to use my Tombow adhesive because even though I've inked up here at the top, that's okay. I want you to get just a faint line of tape along the edge here. And that's why I'm just going to use the Tombow adhesive rather than using my ATG gun. And I'm just going to pop this up here on top. Make sure I get it lined up. And then we're going to just lay that down. And the reason why I'm doing this is because now I'm going to go ahead and put both of these onto the card. And I want to put them about right, well, I need to turn it over, there. And I'm going to put it about right there. And just go ahead and look at it, make sure that's where I want it. So now I'm going to go ahead and tape it down. And I'm going to use the ATG gun for this. I always kind of like to use my ATG gun when I'm using big, large pieces. For the smaller pieces, I'll use the Tombow adhesive. So now, I've noticed that I didn't get enough tape on this side, so I'm going to move this over here and make sure I get my tape down. And then I'm going to go ahead and lay my piece down. And I'm going to line up my edges and get them as close together on the end as possible. And then I'm going to lay that down. So now I have my dots and my top layer. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I want to go ahead and put just a little bit of ribbon across the top above my Optic Dots. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make some of the loops, ribbon loops, above about right here. So the first thing I need to do is I'm going to put just a line of adhesive across the very top here. And this is just to hold my ribbon down. And it looks like my Tombow is almost out, so I may have to switch over and use my ATG gun or refill my Tombow. See if it's going to let me get it down here. Oh, there we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my ribbon and lay it down. And actually, I'm going to pull this up. And you'll see why in a minute, why I need to pull this up. Because I'm going to be using my tiny attacher, and I don't want the staples to be on the other side of my card. So now, to get rid of the line of tape that I have going across here, I'm going to use my adhesive remover. So let me go ahead and remove that, and then I'll be back. Okay, everybody, so as you can see, I've gotten all the tape off with my adhesive remover. This is a really great tool to get rid of tape from where you don't want it. So I'm going to put my card aside for a minute, and I'm going to go ahead and see if we can add the ribbon without it sticking, since I put the tape on the back already. We're going to go ahead and try to add my ribbon using the tiny attacher. So once again, I do need a line of tape going across the top here. which I was able to put across. So next thing I want to do is go ahead and add my ribbon at the top. And I'm going to go over about that much and leave that much of an overhang. And then I'm going to start making my ribbon loops. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and fold your ribbon back like so to make your first loop. And you've got the tape there to hold it down. And then what I'll do is I'll take the Tim Holtz tiny attacher and just staple like so. Oops, I didn't get the staple in there. There we go. So now I've got the staple. So now I'm going to go ahead and make my loop, and then I'm going to fold back my ribbon on itself again and make my next loop. And staple down. Then I'm going to go ahead, go ahead and push down and then fold. Let's try that again. Make my loop. Fold back and then staple. Okay, so there's my second loop. And now I'm going to go ahead, fold back on itself, tape it down, make my loop, fold back, and then staple. And I hope you're able to see what I'm doing. Let me see if I can zoom in more so you can see this. Oops, sorry, I don't mean to make you dizzy. So, I'm folding back, which I've already done, and I've stapled. So now I'm going to go ahead, make a loop, or lay my ribbon down, hold it down, and then I'm going to fold back, like so. And then use my tiny attacher again. So I'm going to go ahead and finish making my loops, and then we'll add this to the card. Okay, everybody, so now rather than going all the way across, I'm going to stop my loops where I've stopped at. And the reason why is because I plan on adding something over here, so I don't really need the loops. So there they are, and I tried to get them as even as I could. This is my second time trying to do it this way, so it's kind of a trial and error thing. So I'm going to go ahead and snip my ribbon as soon as I can figure out what I did with my scissors. Sorry for the squeaky chair. I still haven't gotten my husband to go ahead, and I need to pull this up just a little bit because it's covering up my dots. So I'm going to go ahead and just lift that up just a little bit. There. And let me snip that, and then we'll fix it once we get it on the card. So now, since I have my tape on the back, we'll go ahead and go back to adding this to the card. And I'm going to zoom back out again. And open up my card, and then we're going to add this to the card. So there. Now I have that. And I'm just going to go ahead and then just flip this over. And we need to get some tape across the top here. So I'm going to pull it up again. And I need to get some tape across the very top there. And fold over my ribbon. And get some ribbon on top of, some tape on top of my ribbon. And as I said before, this is probably the second time that I've done this ribbon loop technique. So bear with me as I try to get this on here right. So you're learning as I'm learning. Okay, there we have it. So I've covered up my optic dots just a little bit, but that's okay. I like the effect that it came out, or the way it came out. So now, as I said before, I do have something that I want to put over here. And I'm going to put that on last because I've inked it, or I've put some stickles on it, and it's not quite dry yet. So let's go ahead and add the flower. Now my flower, I made this flower using a technique that I learned from another YouTuber, and her YouTube channel is SaCrafters. I hope I'm saying that right. And I'll put the link somewhere up here in the video on how to make these flowers. It's basically, she used burlap, and that's the same thing that I use to make the flower. And I also use the Tim Holtz Tattered Florals die. I used, you may not be able to see it, but I used, I don't think the camera's going to pick it up, but it's this size here in the corner, right here. But as I said before, I'll put her link to how she did that in the video. And I used this metallic white pearl ink to ink my burlap. And for the edges, I used just some of this Craft Smart that I picked up at Michael's. It's a light pink. And then I just went ahead and added a pearl in the middle. So I want to have that over here in the corner, right there. So but before I add that, I'm going to go ahead and add my inside sentiment. And it's something that I got from the Hallmark software that I have, that I used previously to make all my cards on the computer before I got my Cricut. So basically, my inside sentiment is, we hope that you celebrate this very special day by doing lots of things you like to do. And we will celebrate it in our own favorite way by thinking very special thoughts of you. Love, my husband's name and my name. So, now this piece measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/4. So let's go ahead and add this to the inside of the card. And I'm going to use the Tombow again. Make sure I get tape on my edges. And then on the inside. And I also went ahead and inked all the way around using the Stampin' Up! Pink Passion. So I'm going to line this up. And just go ahead and adhere that down. And I wanted to do that before I add the flower, so it would lay out flat, so I could add this before adding the flower. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my glue gun and get some glue on the back of the flower. And I'm going to go ahead and add the flower right up here in the corner. And just hold down for a second. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my butterfly. Now my butterfly is just a butterfly set that is by Recollections that I got at Michael's, and it looks like this. But the one I'm going to put on here is the white and pink polka dot. I thought I'd go ahead and just add a little contrast. So I'm going to go ahead and add this using the glue gun again. And because the butterfly comes like this in the center, I didn't like that piece right there being that color and that plastic looking. So what I did was I just took some of my cotton candy stickles and I covered up the color that they actually have and just made it pink in the center. So now I want to go ahead and add that to my card, and I'm going to put it right there. And I just put some glue in the center because I want the wings to pop up like so. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and add some bling on each one of the wings. So let me take the glue gun and do that real quick. Okay everybody, so now I've got my bling added onto my butterfly and my card is complete. Thanks for watching everybody. Bye.